A few years back, my now husband and I decided to go backpacking through Peru. Me being the bilingual one of the two, I set to booking our itinerary. Our main draw was to hike to Machu Picchu via the Inca Trail. The permits were nearly impossible to procure, and at times the language gap was exacerbated by the lack of body language to bolster me through the fuzzy parts of conversation. I had to rebook our hiking reservations, and consequentially our plane tickets, 3 times before it was finally confirmed that we did in fact have the permits we were seeking. The next month was filled with gleeful recanting of our travel plans to anyone who looked even mildly interested in our adventures by proxy. We were so excited, until I double spiral fractured my left fibula while walking across a railroad track in 5-inch wedge heels after convincing a bar of patrons to go skinny dipping. That's a story for a different time. Anyway, I knew by the next day that my leg was broken, and X-ray confirmed I had done so with fabulous artistry. The orthopedic doctor came in to break the bad news, no pun intended. I'd be in a cast for the next 6 to 8 weeks. I told him politely that his projected schedule wouldn't work with mine since I was due to be on a plane headed for the jungle in 6 weeks. He smiled kindly and said, "We'll see what happens." At this point, I had been a trauma nurse for several years and knew what lip service was. I just decided that my hope was just buoyant enough to float, and I'd just do everything in my power to get on that plane. Weeks passed and I was healing quite nicely, a testament to the fortitude of the mind's will. At our 5 weeks appointment, I was confident I'd be closer to the 6 weeks mark for being able to have my cast removed. The doctor iterated his previous pitying smile and promised he'd consider it if I was ready, but that I should probably look into some alternative excursion options while my hubs did the hike without me. The week couldn't have gone slower if it tried. As I consumed as many glasses as possible of orange juice and milk in a last-ditch effort to bolster osteocyte production, I remained cautiously hopeful that my efforts would not be in vain. Day of the appointment comes a precise 24 hours before my first plane was scheduled to head off toward Peru. I confidently glide into the doctor's office and show how agile I am. Someone with this much grace couldn't possibly be harboring a bum leg. He wasn't as convinced as I propped my leg up on the examination table and told him I was ready to 86 this plaster prison, suffocating my obviously remedied extremity. "Let's get an X-ray first." I recognized that this was no time to misalign my personal drivers with someone who had spent a good portion of his life mastering the science of bones. I acquiesced. The X-ray was grim. A dark grey chasm still painted a deep canyon between the uncooperative parts of my traitorous bone. The doctor frowned. "I can't remove your cast today. Your bone isn't healed enough yet. Let's schedule a follow-up for 2 weeks from now, and we can re-evaluate then." What could I do? I thanked him and told him I couldn't wait to see him next time. Went home, got a serrated steak knife, and made quick work of hacking the cast off and hiding all pertinent evidence. When my husband saw the cast was no longer intact and commented, I simply stated, "Yeah, it came off today." I realize omission can be seen as a form of insincerity, but I wasn't about to let something as silly as a potential lifelong deformity stop me. So we got on our plane, spent 2 weeks winding our way from the jungles of Iquitos to the mountains of Cusco. The day the hike was slotted to set out, we arrived on time, and I committed to not making my stupid decision anyone else's problem. The trail was grueling but idyllic, hummingbirds the size of your fist, low-hanging clouds dancing around our tent at first morning's light, alpacas getting a little too convinced of our destiny to be best friends. It was pure magic, and I'm pretty sure that's what kept me going. I completed the entire trail and kept pace with my group for 4 days and 3 nights. When I finally climbed the last of over 10,000 stairs to meet the sun at its majestic gate, I felt a sense of glory at what I had achieved. This was extraordinary idiotic on my part, but I've never let that stop me from accomplishing my goals. I fell in love with my husband 1,000,000 times on that trip, and I continue to fall in love with him a little more every day since. If I could share that time with him 1,000,000 times more, I'd sacrifice any appendage, no questions asked. P.S. My leg healed perfectly fine, despite my best efforts to the contrary. I also informed both my husband and my mother of what I had done directly after I got back home from our trip. I've always been one who adheres to the philosophy that it is better to beg forgiveness than ask permission.